So today we're ranking the top 10 NFL wide receivers. Wide receivers are very important to the game. Passing is the number one option in the game, and there's a plethora of receivers. There's so many of them. And with my silly mistake, unfortunately, I needed to get rid of one extra guy for my top 10, so you will start with an honorable mention, who honestly could be top 10 as well. It's such a deep list, so let's get into it. For the honorable mention, it's going to be Jaylen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins. He's done a lot of great work in his 2 years in the league. He's about to enter his third. Him and Tyreek are a fantastic, speedy duo. That how do you cover both of these guys at the same time? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of strenuous film work and a lot of studying for defenses for them when they play them. So it makes them dangerous, and it makes them a very good case for an AFC East division title this year. So, overall, I think Miami's got good hands, and they got a great set of hands with Jaylen Waddle here at honorable mention. He's cutting it, almost a top 10. I think I need another solid year from him. Possibly more receptions, something to be eye-popping for me to feel like, oh, yeah, he's the guy. So, Jaylen Waddle, 24 years old, 2 years in the league, 2 years, $7.47 million left in his contract, 17 games played and started, 75 receptions for 1,356 receiving yards, 18.1 yards per reception. That is a league-leading stat. 8 receiving touchdowns, 79.8 yards a game. Playoff-wise, lost to the Bills. He had 3 receptions for 44 yards, 14.7 yards per reception, 0 touchdowns. Nothing of accolades yet, but he will be an All-Pro if he continues to do what he's doing. He'll be a Pro Bowler if he continues to do what he's doing. So he just needs some time. He is still young, but he is definitely needs to get credit for his play on the field and his impact for Miami in that passing offense, and he should be there. So, number 10, we got DK Metcalf, Seattle Seahawks receiver, 6'4", 230 pounds, I believe. Pretty much has about 5% body fat from what everyone said. He is Megatron 2.0. He is Calvin Johnson Jr. He is crazy receiver to guard, and he's one of the best receivers in the game. I personally think he needs more development. He has games where he will go off for 10 receptions for 100 and some yards and 3 touchdowns, and then he'll have games will have 1 reception for 15 yards and nothing. So he's a very consistent player. I think he just needs to calm down. I think he's got a lot of anger problems in terms of people getting under his skin in games, and he needs to kind of control that part of him. But overall, I think DK is still a monster. I think he's definitely deserving of being a top 10 guy up here. So DK, 25 years old, 4 years in the league, 3 years, $45.2 million. 2025 out of his contract, that'd be $11.5 million dead cap for Seattle. 17 games that he played and started, 90 receptions for 1,048 receiving yards, 11.6 yards per reception with 6 receiving touchdowns, 61.6 yards a game with 2 fumbles. Playoffs, the 1 playoff game against the Niners, he was amazing. 10 receptions, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13.6 yards per reception. That's the DK we want on a consistent basis every night, that kind of number stat, and I feel like he will leap that this year. I think Gino and him having chemistry again. I think having more players, having a better offensive line, just a better overall team. I think they have what it takes to go deep in the playoffs. I think they could definitely make a Super Bowl run, and I think DK will become All-Pro this year. I do believe that he will be a guy with 100 to 110 receptions. I just think his stats are all going to go up. I think he might have a career high, but I believe he's going to mature. And I believe he's going to still be one of the best receivers in the game and just be even better than he has been. And he's young, so he's got time to prove that. Number 9, we got Jamar Chase, another stud wide receiver that's been in the league for 2 years. And what he's been able to do from the first time that he got critiqued from dropping a ball in practice, I believe, or it might have been training camp, might have been practice, it might have been preseason. I don't remember, but there was something about he didn't have hands or whatnot, or they didn't know if he was going to be a bust. People just being skeptical to what he's been able to do now, man. I mean, the ability of his impact to Cincinnati, to this team. I mean, they have Tyler Boyd, they have T. Higgins, but the one that really guides the ship and that receiving core is Jamar Chase. And when Joe Burrow needs someone, when it's a time in need and he needs to figure out who's going to be open, it's going to be Jamar Chase. His route running is amazing, and he's one of those receivers, dude. He's a hard worker, and he should be here for a long time in the top 10. He's got the ability to. He's all pro potential. He's multiple time Pro Bowler. Like, he's going to do a lot of great things in this league, and I'm excited. And he's so young, so he will be doing some great things. He is 23 years old, 2 years in the league, like I said. 2 years, $8.3, $23 million left on his rookie deal. So expect a big payday either this season, during the season, or after this coming up season, a contract extension. But it's in the works. He'll definitely be in the works. They need him. 17 games he played and started. Not 17 games, I apologize. No, it was 17. 87 receptions, 1,046 yards, 9 receiving touchdowns, 12 yards per reception, 87.2 yards a game with 2 fumbles. In the playoffs, they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. He had 20 receptions for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 yards per reception, 73.3 yards a game, 0 fumbles. So, and he's a Pro Bowler. So overall, I mean, he had a great postseason. I wouldn't say it was the best, but I mean, it's not terrible. And I think you gotta look at this guy and really see that his impact is great, and he's got great potential to do great things in the league for a long time. So Jamar Chase at right now, that's a good rank for him at number 9. All right, number 8, Swole Badman, as they call him, the main target for Philly, and they have a lot of targets, but this guy is nasty, man. This guy is a hard-working player, great route runner. He's honestly overlooked by his speed, but he has a great speed, strong, man, and he is DK's other partner when he was in Ole Miss. So, are there works about him and DK teaming up? God, I want to see that. That's kind of a dream wide receiver core duo that I've always wanted to see. I mean, 2 of those kind of guys on the same team. I mean, it would be something. It would be something, especially if they can continue to progress and become better players. Super Bowl, I could say, yeah, with those 2. Oh, yeah. A.J. Brown, he is 26 years old, 4 years in the league. 4 years, $80.24 million on his deal right now. He has a 2025 out option, the club at least does, but it would be a $30.84 million dead cap for the Eagles, so that's a lot of money, man. 17 games that he played, 16 that he started, 88 receptions for 1,496 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns, 17 yards per reception, 88 yards a game, 2 fumbles. Playoffs, lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. He had 13 receptions for 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 11.2 yards per reception, 48.7 yards per game, 0 fumbles. Was 9th in the MVP voting, was 11th in the Offensive Player of the Year voting, was a second-team All-Pro and a Pro Bowler. He had a great year this year. He turned the Jets on, and, I mean, he went from Tennessee to Philly, and, I mean, as he said, for him, Philly is lit. Philly is a great time. Philly is his home, and Philadelphia is, I mean, their chances of going back to the Super Bowl are very high. The highest, I think, in the conference, maybe in the league. But they have all their team back together. They have a great offensive line. They have literally every need that you need. They have them in Philly, and A.J. Brown's going to continue to produce. I do want to see him get 100 receptions this year. I do want to see him continue to produce and get the same amount of numbers that he's been able to do and still be productive. I think he still will be that guy. So overall, I'm excited to see what the future holds for him, and it's a good rating right now for number 8. Again, there's just too many receivers to figure out where to put him, but I think number 8's proper placement for him for right now. I could see him going up, definitely with the youth that he has on him right now. Number 7, we got Deebo Samuel. Um, missed some time with injuries. But why is he up above AJ, DK, and Jamar Chase? Well, the impact that he's made, man. The impact that he's made. He's been more body of work in the league, and he's a dual threat wide receiver, which I think is amazing. I mean, he can run as well as catch and do what he can to be a playmaker. So overall, I think Deebo has a bright future in everything that he does, and he's still young. He can still win an MVP. He can still be first team All Pro. He can still lead the lead in scrimmage yards as a receiver, which is crazy to think about that. But overall, I mean, San Fran's got a great team out there with McCaffrey and with Deebo, with them being both dual threat at their position. So Deebo, 27 years old, 4 years in the league, 3 years, $50.86 million. He has a 2025 out with a dead cap of $15.143 million there. He played 13 games, started 12, 56 receptions for 632 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 11.3 yards per reception, 48.6 yards a game, 42 carries for 232 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 fumbles, and 55.5 yards a carry. So pretty impressive for a receiver. Playoff-wise, 3 games played and started, lost in the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia at 13 receptions for 211 yards, 16.2 yards per reception, 1 touchdown, 70.3 yards a game, 13 carries for 34 yards, 2.6 yards a carry with 1 fumble. Overall, injured, wasn't 100% himself, and that's why I think he's going to have a huge season this year. I think he will crack the top 5, and I think he's going to continuously get so much better that you have to look at him as one of the top receivers in the game for a long time of discussion. So overall, though, Deebo, underrated. He's low for the rating, but that's because of injuries, and I'm excited for him to prove everyone wrong and get himself higher in the rankings for his position. Number 6, Cooper Kupp, outside the top 5, unfortunately injured again, and that kind of has been a theme for him this in his career. But I mean, what he did last year was remarkable. Triple crown, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, receptions. Almost an MVP. I honestly should be MVP, and maybe that's biased because I'm an Eastern Washington alum, and I see him personally do great things in Cheney, and the fact that he is in the NFL now, killing it. It's a great story, man. It's an awesome story. It's heartfelt, and I have so much pride when I see him play. I may not be a Rams fan, but I'm a Cooper Kupp fan, and he's a fantastic human being, and I'm telling you right now, he deserves this. He deserves to being in the top of the top, the best of the best, and that's where he's at, man. But Cooper Kupp, 30 years old, 6 years in the league, 3 years, $79.85 million left in his contract. He has an out, 17.26 dead cap though. 9 games played and started, 75 receptions for 812 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, 10.8 yards per reception, 90.2 yards a game, 2 fumbles. They had a Super Bowl hangover, so again, they didn't go to the playoffs. But why is Cooper Kupp number 6? Well, first of all, his injuries, yeah, but what he did last season was remarkable, right? Offensive Player of the Year, All Pro, Pro Bowl. But they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without him. That last drive was his drive. Matt Stafford knew what he was going to do, and he was going to throw it to Cooper Kupp, man. Anytime he had the ability to, he was going to give it to Coop. And he did just that, and he killed that drive, made sure they won a Super Bowl because of that drive, as well as the Aaron Donald sack. But let's talk about that first of all. Cooper Kupp, though, that was an impact thing. They are not the same offense when he's not on the field. Let's be honest there. Great runner, body of work is amazing, impact player for sure, and I mean the fact that he makes just the right plays, dude. He has the intangibles. He's not the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. He's just a fundamental football player, and that's what you want on your team. And great leader, great human being, and he just brings more of a body of work to me. He has more of an impact than the other guys have in their own right, respectively. But Cooper Kupp, man, as long as he can get back to being healthy, that's what I'd like to see. Just like Deebo, I think they have the potential of being all pros and all that, awards and everything. But overall, Cooper Kupp, man, great job for him, and I hope he can stay healthy.